We see them dominating global stages, commanding the devotion of millions, and rewriting the rules of the modern music industry under the blinding glare of stadium lights. But what happens when the screaming crowds fade to silence, the designer outfits are packed away, and these global icons return to the one place where they are not idols, but simply sons? Beyond the intense choreography and chart-topping hits lies a quiet, deeply personal ritual hidden inside the private kitchens of the world's biggest stars. Have you ever wondered what culinary secrets these performers guard behind closed doors, or which traditional dishes connect them to their deepest roots when the pressure of fame becomes too heavy to bear? What if the ultimate expression of their gratitude isn't a stadium anthem, but a humble, steaming plate of food prepared from a recipe passed down through generations? Today, we are stripping away the glamour to uncover the touching, untold stories of the specific, heartfelt meals these artists cook to honor the women who made their dreams possible. Get ready to discover a side of your favorite idols you have never seen before, where flavor meets memory in the most unexpected way. Number 8. The Savory Symphony, Bang Chan. The life of a global K-pop leader is measured not in hours, but in heartbeats, deadlines, and the relentless pressure of keeping a multi-million-dollar musical engine running smoothly. For Bang Chan, the mastermind and tireless leader of Stray Kids, this pressure is an everyday reality, driving him through sleepless nights in the studio and high-octane stadium performances before tens of thousands of screaming fans. Yet when the heavy, soundproof doors of the recording studio finally click shut and the neon lights of Seoul fade into the background, the multi-talented producer seeks a completely different kind of rhythm, one dictated by the gentle sizzle of a hot pan and the familiar, comforting aroma of home. Growing up in the sun-drenched suburbs of Sydney, Australia, Chan was surrounded by a rich blend of cultures, but nothing shaped his early years more than the comforting meals prepared by his mother. Among all her culinary creations, there was one specific dish that stood out as her absolute favorite, a meal that came to symbolize comfort, warmth, and the tight-knit bond of their family. A slow-roasted, herb-crusted Australian lamb rack served with a delicate, sweet and savory Korean soy pear reduction. Cooking this dish is not merely a hobby for Chan, it is a sacred ritual of gratitude, a way to transport his mother back to the tranquil shores of Australia, even when they are miles in the bustling, fast-paced heart of South Korea. Whenever his mother makes the long journey to visit him, or during the precious, fleeting moments when he can fly back home, Chan takes complete control of the kitchen, transforming himself from a global superstar into a dedicated chef. The process begins long before the stove is turned on, with Chan meticulously selecting the finest rack of lamb, ensuring the fat cap is perfectly balanced to yield the most tender and juicy results. He treats the preparation with the same forensic attention to detail that he applies to mixing a complex audio track, carefully blending fresh rosemary, minced garlic, coarse sea salt, and freshly cracked black pepper to create an aromatic herb rub. As he gently massages the aromatic herbs directly into the tender cuts of meat, the kitchen immediately fills with a fresh, earthy scent that instantly cuts through the stress and artificiality of his idle lifestyle. He then turns his attention to the reduction sauce, grating fresh Asian pears to extract their sweet, fibrous juice, mixing it with premium soy sauce, toasted sesame oil, a touch of honey, and a splash of rice cooking wine, letting the mixture simmer slowly until it thickens into a glossy, fragrant glaze. Once the lamb is seared in a hot cast-iron skillet to lock in the natural juices, it goes into the oven and the waiting game begins. During these quiet, peaceful hours of slow roasting, the kitchen becomes a sanctuary of deep memory, where the rhythmic ticking of the kitchen timer replaces the loud, thumping bass of the dance studio. The rich, savory aroma of roasting meat begins to permeate the apartment, a scent so comforting and nostalgic that it immediately evokes memories of lazy Sunday afternoons in Sydney. For Chan, who moved to Korea at such a young age and spent 7 long, uncertain years as a trainee, this slow transition from raw ingredients to a finished masterpiece is deeply therapeutic, offering a rare moment of mindfulness where he can disconnect from the heavy demands of his career. He remembers the times when he was a trainee, exhausted and lonely, calling his mother from across the ocean just to hear her voice, and how she would always remind him to eat well. Now, as an established artist, being able to cook this very meal for her is a tangible proof of his growth and his ability to care for the person who always cared for him. When the rack of lamb is finally cooked to a perfect, mouth-watering medium rare, he lets it rest on the board, allowing the rich juices to redistribute throughout the meat, ensuring that every single bite is exceptionally tender and flavorful. He carves the rack into individual chops, plates them with artistic precision, and drizzles the warm soy pear reduction over the top, creating a visual and culinary masterpiece. When his mother sits down at the table, the air is filled not with the tension of fame, but with the quiet warmth of unconditional love. As she takes her first bite, the familiar flavors bring an immediate smile to her face, a silent validation that means more to Chan than any music show trophy or chart milestone. They eat in comfortable silence, punctuated only by quiet laughter and stories of his childhood, stripping away the layers of his public persona until he is simply her son once again. It is a powerful reminder that despite the dizzying heights of his success, his core remains grounded in the family values that raised him. Through this simple plate of food, Chan is able to say the things that words fail to capture, expressing a deep, wordless thankfulness for the woman who believed in his musical dreams long before the rest of the world did. He recalls how his mother supported his decision to move to a different country at such a young age, trusting his vision and providing him with the emotional anchor he needed to survive the grueling trainee years. The kitchen table becomes a space of mutual appreciation, where the roles are temporarily reversed and the leader who spends his life taking care of others finally gets to pamper the woman who gave him everything. As they share the meal, the conversation flows from lighthearted jokes about his early cooking disasters to deeper reflections on how much their lives have changed since those quiet days in Sydney. Every single bite of the herb-crusted lamb represents a strong bridge between his past and his present, blending his Australian upbringing with his deep Korean heritage in a way that feels entirely natural and authentic. The richness of the lamb, cut by the sweet acidity of the pear reduction, mirrors the balance he constantly strives to find in his own life between his intense career and his personal peace. His mother's presence acts as a grounding force, reminding him that no matter how large the stadiums get or how many awards Stray Kids win, his truest sanctuary will always be found in these quiet, shared moments. Chan watches her enjoy the food, noting how the stress lines on her face seem to soften with every bite, a sight that brings him a profound sense of accomplishment. Cooking for her is his way of creating a safe haven, a small pocket of normalcy where the noise of the entertainment industry cannot penetrate. The experience is a reminder of the power of simple ingredients and how a well-prepared meal can convey love more clearly than the most eloquent speech or the grandest gesture. As the evening winds down and the plates are cleared, the lingering warmth of the connection remains, leaving Chan with a renewed sense of purpose and the strength to face whatever challenges lie ahead in his demanding career. This culinary tribute is a testament to the enduring power of family, showing that even in the fast-paced world of global stardom, the most meaningful victories are often celebrated at a quiet dinner table. It highlights a side of the Stray Kids leader that fans rarely see, not the confident performer commanding the stage, but a grateful son pouring his heart into a home-cooked meal. Through the medium of food, Chan is able to keep his roots alive, ensuring that no matter where his music takes him, he will always carry a piece of home with him. The meal ends, the kitchen grows quiet once more, but the memory of the shared laughter and the savory flavors will continue to sustain both mother and son through the long periods of separation that define his life. As we leave the leader of Stray Kids in his quiet kitchen, we begin to wonder how other members of this powerhouse group express their love through the medium of food. While Chan relies on the comforting flavors of his Australian upbringing, another member of the group takes a much more traditional, fiery approach to his mother's favorite recipe, turning a classic Korean comfort food into a high-stakes culinary tribute. What secret ingredient does this next member use to bring a touch of nostalgia to his family table? And how does he handle the heat of the kitchen when the stakes are personal? Number 7. The meticulous masterpiece, Lee No. For Lee No, the sharp-eyed main dancer and resident visual of Stray Kids, control is everything. On stage, his movements are defined by an almost terrifying precision, a clean-cut sharpness that leaves no room for error. Offstage, he is often known for his dry wit, mischievous attitude, and a seemingly cool demeanor that keeps people guessing. But those who know him best understand that beneath this enigmatic exterior lies a deeply caring soul, who expresses his affection not through loud declarations, but through the quiet, meticulous art of cooking. In the K-pop world, Lee No is celebrated as a highly skilled home chef, someone who handles kitchen knives with the same fluid confidence he uses to execute complex choreography. Yet there is a vast difference between throwing together a quick meal for his hungry members and preparing a culinary tribute for the most important woman in his life, his mother. Growing up as an only child, Lee No shared a quiet, deeply supportive bond with his mother, a relationship that was often anchored by their shared love for traditional Korean flavors. During his childhood, his mother worked hard to support his artistic ambitions, and their quiet dinners together were the highlight of their day, a time to reconnect and share their thoughts. He observed her cooking techniques closely back then, absorbing the subtle secrets of traditional home cooking without even realizing that he would one day use them to express his own gratitude. Among all the dishes that graced their family table, her absolute favorite was always a rich, slow-simmered galbi-jjim, a classic Korean braised beef short rib dish that requires hours of patient preparation and a delicate balance of sweet and savory notes. For Lee No, preparing this labor-intensive dish is a profound gesture of devotion, a way to show his mother that no matter how famous he becomes, he will always dedicate his time and effort to her happiness. The preparation of galbi-jjim is not a task for the impatient, and Lee No approaches it with the focus of a scientist and the soul of an artist. He begins by selecting premium, well-marbled beef short ribs, meticulously soaking them in cold water for several hours to draw out any excess blood and ensure a clean, pure flavor. As the meat soaks, he prepares the vegetables, cutting carrots and large Korean radishes into thick chunks, and then, using a sharp paring knife, he carefully rounds off the sharp edges of each piece. This culinary technique, known as chamfering, prevents the vegetables from breaking apart and clouding the broth during the long simmering process, a detail that a lesser cook might overlook, but one that Lee No executes with absolute precision. Next, he parboils the short ribs in boiling water for a few minutes, a crucial step to remove impurities and excess fat, before rinsing them thoroughly in cold water. With the meat perfectly prepped and resting, he constructs the signature braising liquid from scratch, blending premium dark soy sauce, freshly grated Korean pear to naturally tenderize the meat, minced garlic cloves, finely chopped ginger, a touch of rich brown sugar, pure honey for a glossy sheen, and a generous splash of toasted sesame oil. He places the parboiled short ribs into a heavy-bottomed pot, pours the savory marinade over them, adds water, and brings it to a boil, before lowering the heat to a gentle simmer. Over the next 2 hours, as the pot simmered steadily, the entire kitchen transforms into a warm, aromatic sanctuary, with the short ribs slowly breaking down until they are incredibly tender, absorbing every nuance of the deep, complex flavors of the handcrafted sauce. Lee No stands watch over the stove, skimming off any foam that rises to the surface and occasionally stirring the pot with a gentle, practiced hand. Halfway through the cooking process, he adds the rounded radishes, carrots, dried jujubes, chestnuts, and ginkgo nuts, allowing them to absorb the rich glaze without losing their structure. The sweet, savory, and warm, nutty aromas mingle together in the rising steam, filling every corner of the quiet apartment with an inviting scent that is instantly comforting, deeply nostalgic, and reminiscent of family holidays. It is a scent that carries Lee No back to his childhood, to the quiet days before training schedules and world tours, when the world was smaller and far less complicated. For a young man who spent years refining his dance technique in sweaty practice rooms, this slow simmering pot represents a different kind of dedication, one that cannot be rushed or simulated. As the sauce reduces into a thick, glossy glaze that perfectly coats the fall-off-the-bone tender beef, Lee No plates the galbi-jeom in a traditional ceramic bowl, garnishing it with thin strips of egg garnish and toasted sesame seeds. The presentation is flawless, a testament to his respect for the dish and the person he is serving it to. When his mother sits down to eat, there are no flashing cameras or screaming fans, only the quiet hum of the kitchen and the steam rising from the bowl. As she takes her first bite, the meat practically melts in her mouth, releasing a burst of rich, savory, and sweet flavors that immediately bring a look of pure contentment to her face. Lee No watches her silently, a subtle, soft smile playing on his lips, a rare departure from his usual teasing grin. In this quiet moment, the distance created by his grueling idol schedule evaporates, replaced by the simple, enduring connection of a mother and her son. They share stories, laugh about his childhood antics, and discuss the small details of their daily lives, finding solace in the familiar taste of home. For Lee No, this meal is a way to give back a piece of the comfort his mother provided him during his trainee days when she supported his risky dream of becoming a dancer. He vividly remembers how she would write him small, encouraging handwritten letters filled with motherly advice and tuck them into his bags when he was struggling to find his footing in the highly competitive entertainment industry, giving him the strength to keep pushing forward. It is a physical manifestation of his gratitude, cooked with patience and served with love, showing that his heart remains firmly anchored to his family. The rich, savory glaze of galbi-jeom mirrors the depth of their relationship, a bond that has withstood the pressures of his rise to stardom. As the dinner comes to an end and the quiet atmosphere of the kitchen settles in, the sense of peace in the room is palpable. Lee No has successfully created a beautiful shared memory that will sustain them both through the busy, chaotic months of global tours ahead, serving as a constant reminder of the quiet, peaceful harbor that always awaits him back home. The dishes are eventually cleared away, and the quiet satisfaction of a meal well prepared lingers in the air, leaving a sense of fulfillment that no trophy could ever replicate. Cooking is his love language, a wordless form of communication that goes straight to the heart, connecting him to his roots. The warmth of the room remains long after the dinner is over, a lasting testament to the strength of their bond. As we leave the main dancer reflecting in the quiet warmth of his kitchen, our thoughts turn to the other members of Stray Kids and how they express their love through food. While Lee No's culinary tribute relies on traditional patience and surgical precision, another member of the group approaches his mother's favorite dish with a burst of creative energy and a completely different set of flavors. What childhood memory inspires this next member to step up to the stove, and how does his unique personality shine through in the comforting dish he chooses to prepare for the woman who raised him?
Number 6. The Feast of Conviction, Changbin. For Changbin, the lightning-fast main rapper and lyrical powerhouse of Stray Kids, the world of music is defined by raw energy, booming bass, and unyielding conviction. On stage, his deep voice and aggressive flow command the attention of thousands, creating a persona that is intimidating, intense, and unapologetically powerful. Yet, when he steps away from the recording booth and the roaring stadium crowds, Changbin retreats to a place of absolute warmth, where his fierce rapper identity melts away to reveal a deeply affectionate, family-oriented young man. Known for his love of hearty meals and his unwavering philosophy that one must always eat with conviction, Changbin views the kitchen not as a chore, but as a space to express his deepest emotions. For him, the ultimate culinary challenge is not creating a complex fusion dish, but preparing the one meal that holds a special place in his mother's heart, a classic, slow-boiled Korean pork belly wrap, known as bossam. Growing up in a supportive, closely knit household, Changbin was always encouraged by his mother to follow his passions, and cooking Boss Sam for her is his personal way of repaying that unconditional support with the same level of dedication. Boss Sam is a dish that seems deceptively simple, but achieving the perfect texture and flavor requires a deep understanding of seasoning and temperature control, a process Changbin approaches with his signature passion. He begins by visiting a local butcher to select the highest quality pork belly, looking for cuts with a perfect ratio of lean meat to fat to ensure the finished dish is exceptionally tender and flavorful. Once back in the kitchen, he prepares a massive pot of water, infusing it with a carefully curated blend of aromatic ingredients, whole green onions, fresh ginger slices, crushed garlic cloves, whole black peppercorns, dried bay leaves, and a generous scoop of traditional Korean soybean paste, or doenjang. He also adds a clever, secret ingredient passed down through generations of family kitchens, a single-level spoonful of instant coffee granules, which helps to completely neutralize any gamey scent and gives the cooked pork a beautiful, rich, golden brown color. He brings the aromatic broth to a rolling boil before gently lowering the pork belly slabs into the pot, immediately reducing the heat to a steady, controlled simmer. For the next hour and a half, the pork gently cooks, absorbing the herbal and savory notes of the broth while the fat slowly renders out, leaving the meat tender and moist. As the kitchen fills with the rich, comforting scent of simmered pork and doenjang, Changbin turns his attention to the crucial accompaniments, preparing a fresh, spicy radish salad called Boss Sam kimchi. He shreds fresh Korean radish into thin strips, salting them to draw out excess moisture before tossing them in a vibrant mixture of red pepper flakes, minced garlic, fish sauce, sugar, and toasted sesame seeds, creating a crunchy, spicy contrast to the rich pork. He also meticulously washes crisp, sweet Napa cabbage leaves, which will serve as the wraps for the meat. Throughout the entire process, Changbin remains focused, checking the tenderness of the pork with a chopstick to ensure it is cooked to absolute perfection. When the meat is ready, he carefully lifts it from the pot, letting it cool slightly before slicing it with a sharp chef's knife into even, bite-sized pieces that showcase the beautiful layers of fat and lean meat. He arranges the warm slices on a large wooden platter, surrounding them with the spicy radish salad, salted shrimp sauce, sliced garlic, and green chilies, creating a visually stunning feast that looks as if it were prepared by a professional chef. When his mother sits down at the dining table, the atmosphere is instantly filled with a sense of joy and relaxation. As she takes a fresh cabbage leaf, tops it with a slice of the tender pork, a dollop of the spicy radish salad, and a touch of salted shrimp before folding it into a neat wrap and taking a bite, her face lights up with pride. Changbin watches her with eager eyes, his tough outer shell completely dissolved into a warm, boyish grin as he awaits her feedback. Her nod of approval and warm praise mean more to him than any chart success, validating the effort and love he poured into the preparation. They enjoy the meal together, sharing light-hearted jokes and reflecting on his journey from a young boy dreaming of music to a global star who still prioritizes family dinners. For Changbin, cooking Boss Sam with such dedication is a physical representation of his deep-seated belief that food should bring people together and provide genuine comfort, a philosophy he champions in his daily life both inside and outside the group. It is his way of showing his mother that despite his busy schedule and global success, he will never lose sight of his roots or the family values she instilled in him. The warmth of the meal mirrors the warmth of their bond, providing a comforting escape from the high-pressure world of the entertainment industry. Every bite of the tender pork and crunchy radish salad serves as a reminder of the simple joys of home, creating a memory that both mother and son will cherish long after the plates are cleared. The dinner table becomes a space of pure comfort, where they can connect without the distractions of fame, celebrating the enduring strength of maternal love and filial gratitude. As the evening draws to a close and the kitchen grows quiet, the sense of fulfillment and warmth remains, leaving Changbin recharged and ready to conquer the next stage of his musical journey. Through the simple act of boiling pork with conviction, he has strengthened the emotional anchor that keeps him grounded amidst the storms of global stardom. As we leave the powerful rapper resting in the quiet aftermath of a beautiful family dinner, our curiosity shifts to the next member of Stray Kids and his unique approach to culinary expression. While Changbin relies on the hearty, savory flavors of traditional pork belly to show his gratitude. Another member of the group takes a much more delicate, artistic approach to his mother's favorite dish, turning simple ingredients into a visual and sensory masterpiece. What creative inspirations drive this next member when he enters the kitchen? And how does he translate his artistic sensitivity into a plate of comfort food that speaks directly to his mother's heart? Number 5. The Blooming Canvas, Hyunjin. For Hyunjin, the expressive main dancer and resident artist of Stray Kids, the world is a canvas waiting to be filled with color, motion, and emotion. Whether he is translating complex feelings into fluid choreography on stage or spending hours lost in his paintings, surrounded by oil canvases and paintbrushes in his private art studio, Hyunjin possesses a deep, poetic sensitivity that defines everything he does. He sees beauty in the abstract, the asymmetrical, and the organic flow of nature. This artistic perspective extends far beyond the studio walls and into the quiet sanctuary of the kitchen, where he views cooking not just as a practical skill, but as another medium for creative expression. When it comes to showing gratitude to the woman who first nurtured his artistic soul, his mother, Hyunjin does not simply cook a meal, he creates a visual and sensory masterpiece. The dish he chooses to prepare for her is milfainebe, a Japanese-Korean fusion hot pot whose name translates to 1,000 leaves and is celebrated for its stunning, flower-like presentation. For Hyunjin's mother, who has always shared her son's eye for beauty and quiet elegance, this light, comforting, and visually breathtaking dish is her absolute favorite. Preparing it is an act of love that requires patience, a delicate touch, and a keen sense of design, qualities that Hyunjin has in abundance. He begins the process by carefully selecting the freshest ingredients, looking for vibrant green Napa cabbage, fragrant perilla leaves with their distinct, jagged edges, and paper-thin slices of high-quality beef belly. Back in his kitchen, he washes the vegetables with meticulous care, ensuring every leaf is pristine and patting them dry to preserve their texture. Then, the artistic layering process begins, which Hyunjin treats with the same focus he applies to applying brushstrokes to a blank canvas. He lays down a broad cabbage leaf, tops it with a layer of dark green perilla leaves, and then carefully arranges the thin slices of beef on top, repeating this process to build a beautiful, multi-layered stack of contrasting colors and textures. Once the stacks are constructed, he cuts them into precise, 3-centimeter portions, revealing the intricate, layered cross-sections of green, white, and red. He then begins to arrange these portions vertically inside a shallow, wide pot, starting from the outer edge and working his way inward in a tight, concentric spiral. As the pot fills, the layered ingredients begin to resemble the petals of a blooming rose, a stunning culinary sculpture created from the simplest of elements. In the very center of this vegetable flower, Hyunjin places a small cluster of delicate enoki mushrooms, fresh bok choy, and a large shiitake mushroom cap that he has meticulously carved with a star pattern on top, adding the final, perfect focal point to his creation. To complement the dish, Hyunjin also prepares 2 custom dipping sauces from scratch, a zesty, citrus-infused soy ponzu sauce that cuts through the richness of the beef, and a creamy, toasted sesame sauce that adds a comforting depth. To bring this visual masterpiece to life, he prepares a light, clear broth by simmering dried kelp, anchovies, radish, and onion in water, straining the liquid to ensure it remains clean and golden. He pours the warm broth gently into the pot, taking care not to disturb the delicate arrangement of the ingredients, and places it on the stove to simmer. As the heat rises, the cabbage softens, the beef cooks, and the essential oils of the perilla leaves release their unique, herbal aroma, filling the room with a scent that is clean, comforting, and incredibly inviting. For Hyunjin, who often spends long, exhausting days in the high-stakes world of music and fashion, the slow bubbling of the hot pot is a deeply soothing sound, offering a rare moment of peace and reflection. He remembers the early days of his career, and even before then, when he was just a young boy who loved to sketch. His mother was the one who bought him his very first professional drawing pads and color pencils, encouraging him to express himself freely without fear of judgment. She stood by him when he decided to pursue dance, attending his early evaluations and offering a steady hand to hold when the path ahead seemed dark and uncertain. Cooking this dish is a way to honor those memories, turning a simple dinner into a physical gallery of their shared journey. When his mother sits down at the table and sees the beautiful pot simmering before her, her eyes light up with appreciation for the care and artistry her son has poured into the meal. As they eat, lifting the tender, layered stacks out of the hot broth and dipping them into the sauces, the flavors burst in their mouths, a perfect harmony of sweet cabbage, savory beef, and aromatic perilla. The light, clean broth warms them from the inside out, creating an atmosphere of quiet intimacy and comfort that feels a world away from the chaotic pace of global stardom. They talk about art, his latest paintings, and share quiet memories of his childhood, the simple conversation flowing naturally over the steam of the hot pot. For Hyunjin, this meal is a way to express the deep, sensitive emotions he sometimes struggles to put into words, a physical manifestation of his love and respect for the woman who has always been his anchor. The delicate layers of the milk-fainade reflect the complexity and depth of their bond, built on years of mutual understanding, support, and shared appreciation for the beautiful things in life. The visual design of the milk-fainade, resembling a large, blooming flower, is not a coincidence. It is a direct reflection of Hyunjin's love for floral motifs in his artwork, where blossoms often represent growth, resilience, and beauty. By presenting this culinary flower to his mother, he is symbolically gifting her a bouquet that she can not only see but also taste and feel. As the meal slowly comes to an end and the warmth of the hot pot lingers in the room, Hyunjin feels a profound sense of satisfaction, knowing that he has provided his mother with a moment of peace, beauty, and comfort. The dishes are eventually cleared, but the memory of the shared laughter and the artistic feast remains, serving as a source of strength for him as he returns to his demanding schedule. This culinary tribute highlights the gentle, thoughtful soul beneath the charismatic performer, showing that the true essence of Hyunjin's art is found not just in galleries or on grand stages, but in the quiet, loving gestures he shares with his family. The experience leaves them both with a deep sense of connection, a reminder that no matter how fast his life moves, he will always make time to create something beautiful for the woman who gave him his start. As we leave the artistic dancer in the quiet warmth of his kitchen, we begin to wonder how the other members of Stray Kids express their gratitude through food. While Hyunjin's tribute is a masterpiece of delicate layers and visual elegance, another member of the group takes a much more comforting, traditional approach to his mother's favorite meal, relying on the rich, deep flavors of a classic Korean soup to convey his love. What secrets lie within this next member's kitchen, and how does he channel his warm, bright energy into a dish that represents the ultimate comfort of home? Number 4, the grounded heart, Han. For Han, the versatile all-rounder, main rapper, and brilliant producer of Stray Kids, life is a constant whirlwind of creative energy, rapid-fire lyrics, and high-stakes performances. On screen, he is a ball of explosive charisma and comedic genius, effortlessly lighting up any room he enters with his quick wit and infectious laughter. However, away from the spotlight, Jisung is a deeply reflective introvert who frequently deals with the quiet weights of anxiety and the intense mental exhaustion that comes from being a primary songwriter in a world-famous group. To find his footing and quiet his racing thoughts, Han often retreats to the simple, grounding environment of the kitchen, transforming the act of cooking into a form of culinary meditation. When he wants to show his deepest gratitude to the person who has always been his emotional safe harbor, his mother, he turns to a dish that represents the ultimate comfort of home, a rich, slow-simmered chaddal doenjang jjigae, a traditional Korean fermented soybean paste stew loaded with tender, thinly sliced beef brisket. For Han's mother, this warm, earthy stew is her absolute favorite, a meal that has long anchored their family through seasons of change, including the years when Han lived in Malaysia as a child and struggled to adjust upon returning to South Korea. For Han, who spent several crucial years of his childhood living in Malaysia, the taste of traditional Korean food carries a powerful sense of national identity and comfort. He remembers the feelings of displacement and cultural shock he experienced when he first moved back to South Korea as a young teenager. During those months, his mother's kitchen was the one place where he felt safe, and her chaddal doenjang jjigae always made him feel at home. Cooking this comfort classic now is a labor of love that requires patience and a careful balancing of intense, earthy flavors, a task that Han approaches with quiet focus and deep sincerity. He begins by constructing the perfect broth base, simmering dried anchovies, kelp, and dried shiitake mushrooms in water to create a clean, savory dashi that will serve as the foundation of the stew. Once the broth is strained and golden, Han stirs in a generous scoop of high-quality, aged doenjang, whisking it gently until it dissolves completely, releasing a rich, nutty, and deeply fermented aroma that instantly fills the kitchen with warmth. He then prepares the vegetables, finding a rhythmic comfort in the steady chop of his knife as he slices firm tofu into neat cubes, cuts fresh zucchini into half-moons, and chops onions, potatoes, and green chili peppers. He sears the thinly sliced beef brisket in the bottom of a hot earthen pot, or tteokbigi, which retains heat much better than ordinary metal cookware. The meat sizzles sharply, releasing a rich aroma and savory fat that will coat the vegetables and enrich the entire stew. Once the beef is browned, he pours in the prepared dashi broth, watching the liquid bubble and turn a rich, opaque brown as the doenjang paste integrates. As the steam rises from the pot, dampening his face and hair, Han feels a physical connection to the generations of home cooks who have prepared this exact meal before him. He adds the potatoes and zucchini first, allowing them to cook until tender, before adding the onions, tofu, and green chilies to finish the stew, letting everything simmer together until the flavors are perfectly melded. For Han, who spent his trainee years struggling to find his voice and cope with the immense pressure of his career, this stew is a reminder of the quiet dinners his mother would prepare for him when he came home exhausted and anxious, offering him a safe space where he could let down his guard. Now, standing over the stove as a successful artist, cooking this very stew for her is a profound reversal of roles, a way to show her that he is strong enough to take care of her just as she has always taken care of him. When his mother sits down at the table, the simple sight of the steaming, bubbling earthenware pot brings an immediate sense of peace and comfort to the room. As she takes her first spoonful of the rich, savory broth, the deep flavors of doenjang and beef brisket bring a warm, contented smile to her face, a silent acknowledgement of her son's care and culinary skill. They eat the stew together, spooning it over warm bowls of white rice, sharing quiet laughter and stories of his childhood in Malaysia and the early days of his music career, stripping away the complications of his public life until they are simply mother and son. His mother softly mentions how she listens to the songs he writes, finding comfort in his deep, introspective lyrics and feeling proud of the mature young man he has become. Hearing this from the woman who has seen him at his lowest points brings a quiet comfort to Han, reminding him of why he writes music in the first place. The meal becomes a sanctuary of emotional healing, where the noise of the entertainment industry cannot reach, and where Han can find the grounding reassurance he needs to keep moving forward. Every bite of the rich, savory stew represents a bridge to his roots, a reminder of the simple, enduring family values that shaped him long before he became a global icon. The warmth of the doenjang jjigae mirrors the warmth of their connection, providing a comforting anchor that keeps him steady even in the midst of his busiest schedules. As the dinner comes to an end and the quiet satisfaction of a meal shared in love settles over the kitchen, Han feels a deep sense of peace, knowing that he has provided his mother with a moment of true comfort and gratitude. The dishes are eventually cleared away, but the lingering warmth of the connection remains, giving Han the emotional strength to return to his creative work with a renewed heart. This culinary tribute showcases the gentle, caring son behind the charismatic performer, highlighting how the most meaningful victories are often the ones celebrated in the quiet safety of a family kitchen. Through the simple act of simmering doenjang and brisket, Han is able to express the deep, wordless love he holds for his mother, ensuring that no matter how far his music takes him, he will always remain connected to the home that raised him. As we leave the multi-talented producer in the quiet comfort of his kitchen, our thoughts turn to the next member of Stray Kids and how he channels his own unique background into a culinary gift for his mother. While Han relies on the traditional, earthy warmth of a classic Korean stew, another member of the group takes a much more modern, international approach to his mother's favorite dish, blending global flavors with a touch of personal nostalgia to create something truly special. What childhood memories inspire this next member when he steps up to the stove, and how does his unique personality shine through in the comforting meal he prepares? Number 3. The Ocean Breeze, Felix. For Felix, the angelic main dancer and deep-voiced rapper of Stray Kids, the journey to global stardom was a path paved with immense courage and profound transition. Born and raised under the bright blue skies of Sydney, Australia, Felix had to leave behind his comfortable life, his friends, and his beloved family at a young age to pursue a demanding trainee career in a country where he initially struggled with the language and culture. Despite these initial hardships, Felix's bright, sunshine-like personality and deep empathy have made him a beloved figure worldwide, known not just for his striking stage presence, but also for his warm heart and his famous baking hobby. In the K-pop community, Felix is celebrated for sharing his homemade brownies and cookies, spreading joy through sweet treats. However, when it comes to preparing a special meal for the most important woman in his life, his mother, he shifts his focus from baking desserts to crafting a sophisticated, savory masterpiece, a perfectly baked, herb-crusted Atlantic salmon served with roasted asparagus and a delicate lemon dill cream sauce. For Felix's mother, this fresh, aromatic salmon dish is her absolute favorite, representing the clean, vibrant flavors of their Australian home and the cherished memories of their family dinners in Sydney. Cooking this elegant meal is a deeply personal experience for Felix, a way to recreate the warmth of his childhood and bring a piece of Australia to his mother whenever they are together. He begins the preparation by selecting premium, fresh salmon fillets, ensuring they are perfectly cut and free of bones. Back in the kitchen, Felix approaches the cooking process with the same meticulous care and precision he uses when measuring ingredients for his delicate pastries. He prepares the herb crust by finely chopping fresh parsley, dill, and chives, mixing them with crispy panko breadcrumbs, grated lemon zest, sea salt, black pepper, and a drizzle of melted butter to hold the mixture together. After lightly brushing the salmon fillets with Dijon mustard to act as an adhesive, he presses the aromatic herb and breadcrumb mixture firmly onto the top of the fish, creating an even, green crust. He then arranges the salmon on a baking sheet alongside fresh asparagus spears tossed in olive oil, salt, and pepper, placing the tray into a preheated oven. As the salmon bakes, the breadcrumbs toast to a beautiful golden brown, and the heat releases the fragrant oils of the herbs and lemon zest, filling the kitchen with an aroma that is fresh, bright, and instantly nostalgic. While the fish is in the oven, Felix prepares the lemon dill cream sauce, melting a small knob of butter in a saucepan, adding minced garlic, and stirring in heavy cream, fresh lemon juice, and a handful of chopped dill, letting it simmer until it coats the back of a spoon. He monitors the oven closely, knowing that salmon must be baked just until it is tender and flaky, avoiding the dryness that comes from overcooking. When the dish is ready, he plates the salmon and asparagus with a photographer's eye for detail, drizzling the warm cream sauce around the plate to create an elegant, restaurant-quality presentation. When his mother sits down at the table, the bright colors and fresh aromas of the dish immediately bring a warm, radiant smile to her face, reminding her of their cozy home in Sydney. As she takes her first bite of the flaky, herb-crusted salmon dipped in the creamy lemon dill sauce, her eyes light up with pure delight and pride in her son's culinary skill. They share the meal in a warm, relaxed atmosphere, laughing about his early baking experiments and discussing his recent global achievements. For Felix, who struggled with feelings of loneliness and homesickness during his early trainee days in Korea, cooking this meal is a way to express the deep, wordless gratitude he feels for his mother, who was his constant emotional anchor through every trial. He remembers the long phone calls across different time zones, where she would listen to his worries and encourage him to stay strong and true to himself. Preparing this dish is his way of showing her that he has grown into a mature, capable young man who can now take care of her and provide her with comfort. The fresh, bright flavors of the herb-crusted salmon serve as a bridge to their shared past, celebrating their Australian roots and the enduring strength of their family bond. The warmth of the dinner table provides a comforting shield against the pressures of his idle life, allowing Felix to recharge his spirits and connect with the source of his strength. Every bite of the meal is a reminder of the simple, unconditional love that has guided him throughout his journey to stardom. As the dinner comes to an end and the kitchen settles into a quiet peace, Felix feels a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that he has brought a moment of true happiness to his mother's heart. The plates are eventually cleared away, but the warmth of the shared experience remains, leaving both mother and son with a lasting memory that will sustain them through future periods of separation. Through the simple act of baking salmon and whisking cream sauce, Felix is able to express the deep, sensitive love he holds for his mother, demonstrating that no matter how famous he becomes, he will always be her boy from Sydney. As we leave the gentle dancer reflecting in the quiet warmth of his kitchen, our thoughts turn to the next member of Stray Kids and how he channels his own unique personality into a culinary gift. While Felix relies on the fresh, modern flavors of his Australian upbringing, another member of the group approaches his mother's favorite dish with a deeply traditional, soulful focus, turning simple ingredients into a rich, comforting broth that represents the ultimate comfort of Korean home cooking. What secret recipes and memories guide this next member when he steps up to the stove, and how does his quiet, reliable nature shine through in the comforting meal he prepares? Number 2. The Silent Symphony, Seungmin. For Seungmin, the clean-cut main vocalist and steady anchor of Stray Kids, life is defined by discipline, structure, and an unwavering commitment to his craft. On stage, his voice is a beacon of absolute stability, delivering pure, emotional notes with a precision that comes from years of dedicated practice and self-control. Off-stage, Seungmin is known for his tidy habits, polite demeanor, and a quiet, reliable nature that makes him the grounding force of the group. He is someone who finds comfort in routine and order, qualities that translate seamlessly into his organized approach to cooking. When he steps into the kitchen to prepare a meal for the woman who has always supported his quiet determination, his mother, he does not look for trendy recipes or complex techniques. Instead, he chooses a dish steeped in deep tradition, comforting simplicity, and profound maternal gratitude, a classic, slow-simmered segoji mayak guk, or Korean beef seaweed soup. In Korean culture, seaweed soup is far more than a simple meal. It is the ultimate symbol of birth, maternal sacrifice, and family devotion, traditionally eaten on birthdays to honor the mother who gave birth. For Seungmin's mother, this rich, soothing soup is her absolute favorite, a comforting reminder of their deep family connection and the quiet, steady love they share. Preparing mayak guk requires patience, clean preparation, and a precise balance of seasoning, a process that Seungmin executes with his signature discipline and care. He begins by soaking high-quality dried seaweed in cold water, watching it expand into soft, vibrant green ribbons over the course of 30 minutes. Once fully rehydrated, he washes the seaweed thoroughly to remove any impurities, squeezing out the excess water and cutting it into neat, uniform pieces with clean precision. He then turns his attention to the beef, choosing premium brisket for its rich flavor and tender texture, cutting it into thin, bite-sized slices. In a heavy pot, Seungmin heats a generous splash of toasted sesame oil, adding minced garlic and the sliced beef, sautéing them until the meat is lightly browned and the kitchen is filled with a rich, nutty aroma. He then adds the prepped seaweed to the pot, sautéing it alongside the beef and garlic for several minutes, a crucial step that helps the seaweed absorb the rich flavors of the sesame oil and meat. Next, he pours in fresh water and brings the soup to a rolling boil before lowering the heat to a gentle, steady simmer. Over the next hour, Seungmin monitors the pot closely, skimming off any foam that rises to the surface to ensure the broth remains clean and pure, mirroring his own meticulous standards. The slow simmering process allows the seaweed to soften completely, releasing its natural umami flavors and turning the broth into a rich, milky, and comforting soup. He seasons the soup precisely with soup soy sauce and a pinch of sea salt, tasting it carefully to achieve a flavor that is deep, savory, and perfectly balanced. When the soup is finished, he serves it in a traditional ceramic bowl alongside a warm bowl of white rice, creating a simple, comforting presentation that reflects his clean and modest personality. When his mother sits down at the table and sees the steaming bowl of mayak guk, she immediately recognizes the deep love and gratitude behind the gesture. As she takes her first spoonful of the rich, savory broth, the comforting warmth of the soup brings a soft, peaceful smile to her face, a silent validation of her son's care and devotion. They share the meal in quiet comfort, the gentle steam rising between them as they talk about his career, his daily life, and the simple memories of his childhood. For Seungmin, who spent his youth quietly practicing his vocals and dreaming of the stage, his mother was a constant source of encouragement, attending his school performances and believing in his talent long before he became a global artist. Preparing this traditional soup is his way of singing a silent song of gratitude to her, expressing a deep, wordless thankfulness for her love and support. The rich, clean flavors of the mayak guk reflect the purity and stability of their relationship, a bond that remains unchanged despite the dizzying heights of his success. The dinner table becomes a peaceful oasis, a quiet sanctuary where Seungmin can step away from the demands of global stardom and simply be a son expressing his love through a warm, home-cooked meal. Every spoonful of the comforting soup is a reminder of the simple, enduring family values that keep him grounded, providing him with the emotional strength to face the challenges of his grueling career. As the meal comes to an end and the kitchen settles into a quiet peace, the sense of warmth and fulfillment in the room is palpable. Seungmin has successfully created a beautiful, shared moment that will sustain them both through the busy months of tours and promotions ahead, a reminder of the quiet harbor that always awaits him back home. The dishes are eventually cleared away, and the quiet satisfaction of a meal well prepared lingers in the air, leaving a sense of fulfillment that no trophy could ever replicate. Through the simple act of simmering seaweed and beef, Seungmin has expressed the deep, reliable love he holds for his mother, showing that his heart remains firmly anchored to his roots. As we leave the gentle vocalist in the quiet warmth of his kitchen, our thoughts turn to the final member of our countdown and how he channels his own unique energy into a culinary tribute. While Seungmin relies on the traditional, comforting warmth of seaweed soup, this final member approaches his mother's favorite dish with a burst of youthful energy and a completely different set of flavors, turning a simple childhood favorite into the ultimate expression of love and gratitude. What secret recipe does this final member prepare, and how does his warm, bright personality shine through in the comforting meal he serves to the woman who raised him? Number 1. The Golden Crust, I.N. For I.N, the beloved youngest member and bright, fox-like vocalist of Stray Kids, the journey from his hometown to the absolute pinnacle of the music industry was a test of resilience and early maturity. Growing up in the vibrant, breezy coastal city of Busan, South Korea, Hyunjin was raised in a warm, supportive family that nurtured his love for music, particularly his early passion for traditional Korean trot singing. Leaving home at a very young age to become a trainee in the high-pressure environment of Seoul meant that he had to grow up much faster than his peers, learning to navigate the complexities of the entertainment industry while carrying the hopes of his loved ones on his young shoulders. Despite the intense demands of his career, I.N has maintained his signature bright smile, pure heart, and a deep, unwavering devotion to his family. When the opportunity arises to step away from the grueling schedule of tours and promotions, the group's youngest member loves to retreat to the kitchen, using the art of cooking to reconnect with his coastal roots and express his love for his family. The dish he chooses to prepare for the most important woman in his life, his mother, is a classic, crispy hamul pajeon, a traditional Korean seafood and green onion pancake. For I.N's mother, this savory, golden pancake is her absolute favorite, carrying the fresh, briny flavors of their Busan home and the nostalgic memories of rainy days when the family would gather around a hot griddle. Cooking this coastal favorite requires a delicate touch, precise timing, and a deep understanding of texture to achieve the perfect crispy exterior and soft, savory interior, a culinary challenge that I.N approaches with quiet confidence and youthful sincerity. He begins by preparing the fresh seafood, meticulously washing and chopping squid, baby shrimp, and clams into bite-sized pieces, ensuring they are perfectly fresh to capture the essence of the ocean. He then turns his attention to the green onions, cleaning long, slender scallions and keeping them whole, which is the traditional Busan style of preparing the dish. Next, he whisks together the batter, combining wheat flour, rice flour, potato starch, a pinch of garlic powder, and ice-cold water, a crucial secret technique that prevents gluten formation and ensures the pancake fries up exceptionally light and crispy. In a wide, flat skillet, I.N heats a generous swirl of oil before carefully laying down the long green onions in a neat, parallel sheet. He scatters the fresh seafood evenly across the onions and gently pours the cold batter over the top, allowing it to bind the ingredients together. As the pancake sizzles in the hot oil, the kitchen is immediately filled with a rich, savory aroma of toasted green onions and seared seafood, a scent that instantly transports I.N back to his childhood in Busan. He monitors the heat closely, waiting for the edges to turn a deep golden brown before executing a perfect, confident flip of the massive pancake. He cooks the second side until it is equally crispy and golden, plating the hamulpagian on a large, flat dish and serving it with a simple dipping sauce made of soy sauce, vinegar, toasted sesame seeds, and a pinch of red pepper flakes. When his mother sits down at the table and sees the beautifully prepared, crispy seafood pancake, her eyes fill with warmth and pride for the young man her son has become. As she takes her first bite of the crunchy, savory pancake dipped in the tangy soy sauce, the familiar flavors of home bring an immediate, heartfelt smile to her face, a silent validation of her son's care and culinary growth. They share the meal in a relaxed, joyful atmosphere, laughing about his early trainee days and discussing the quiet moments of his current life, finding comfort in the simple taste of home. For I.N, who left Busan as a young boy with big dreams, cooking this meal is a way to show his mother that no matter how far he travels or how high stray kids fly, he will always remain her boy from Busan, grounded in the values she taught him. The crispy exterior of the hamulpagian, protecting a tender and rich center, serves as a beautiful metaphor for I.N's own development, a young man who has built a strong, resilient exterior to handle the pressures of fame while preserving his soft, sweet, and caring core. The warmth of the dinner table provides a comforting sanctuary from the chaotic pace of global stardom, allowing I.N to recharge his spirits and connect with the source of his strength. Every bite of the savory pancake is a tribute to the unconditional love and support his mother provided during his trainee days, when she would send him packages of food and call him every night to ensure he was eating well. As the dinner comes to an end and the kitchen settles into a quiet peace, I.N feels a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that he has brought a moment of true happiness and comfort to his mother's heart. The plates are eventually cleared away, but the lingering warmth of the shared experience remains, a lasting testament to the strength of the bond between a mother and her youngest son. Through this simple plate of food, I.N is able to say the things that words often fail to capture, expressing a deep, wordless thankfulness for the woman who believed in his dreams and gave him the courage to fly. This culinary tribute brings our journey to a beautiful, reflective close, showing that the true heart of stray kids is found not in the bright lights of stadiums, but in the quiet kitchens where these global superstars cook with love for the women who made it all possible. The flame is turned off, the kitchen grows quiet, but the legacy of these heartfelt meals and the enduring power of maternal love will continue to light their path forward, proving that no matter how high they soar, the taste of home will always be their ultimate destination.